Dear viewers, this is a very special, almost an Emmy moment for us, as we have with us the star of Emmy-winning Delhi Crime, DCP Vartika Chaturvedi, in real life Shefali, the hugely talented Shefali Shah. Madam Sir, welcome Shefali, and a pleasure on board. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Such a winning portrayal, a woman of steel and a heart of gold, nerves of steel and a heart of gold. So what were your reference points really?
Well, I remember talking to Rishi right in the beginning, and I had the honor of meeting Chaya Sharma ma'am, who's the one who cracked the Nirbhaya case. And it's, of course, the technical knowledge of being in the police force or what she's going through, what she felt, was unanimous to what all of us felt when the Nirbhaya happened. But Vartika had to be her own person. So it started from there and it started growing. We didn't want to become like any other character that you've seen so far, or there actually wasn't a reference point besides Chaya ma'am, but I met her very briefly, and from BC1 to BC2, Vartika's gone through another journey altogether.
Yeah.
So I think the main thing was that, which I realized is once I read the scripts, was in BC1 she became a hero, in BC2 Vartika became human. And I think the growth was just from there, and the character itself has so much metal and so much depth, and the possibility of so many layers that I think it comes out in what we've done in terms of the script, in terms of direction, in terms of the way it's shot, and the performance. So yeah.
And reprising the same part, what is more difficult, to keep the consistency or to ensure that it looks fresh as well?
Both. You keep her soul intact, but then you can't be monotonous. But like all of us behave differently in different circumstances. So that is, what is happening around her is changing. DC1 was a very different case, DC2 is a very different case. But her soul doesn't change, her brain doesn't change. And she is affected by what is going on around her. But in one, it became more personal. In two, she is more businesslike. Also, I feel somewhere Vartika kind of, that similarity between her and me, that when there is a crisis, she blocks out emotionally because she's on damage control. And if she didn't block out emotionally, she'd be a wreck. If she let every case affect her so personally, and she would not be able to function. So there are a lot of things that go into creating a character. And I can't even begin to explain Nanka, because there's small things that go into it. Yes.
One small thing you would like to share?
Well, a lot. In fact, I was seeing the making of these Vartika today that Netflix has put together. And even when I saw the show, I realized that my voice is different when I talk to the press. My voice is different by the end of the fourth or third episode, because there's so much rejection and hurt, because she really wants to go by the right side. There's a different way she talks to her subordinates. So there is so much. This is a very small thing, and I think every actor looks into it. Her exhaustion levels, her physical body language. Where does she let go of that body language? She walks ramrod straight. There is a lot of pride in that uniform she wears. But when she's sitting with Bhupinder, when she's really drained out after 3 days of no sleep, she does let go. She kind of eases out and she's just slouched in a chair. So there are a lot of small things. I can't really pinpoint and say this is what it is. But I think it's just subconsciously you just get into that space and you live in that space.
Most people and which includes audiences as well as critics feel that it is your best performance. What do you feel personally?
I agree.
You agree?
I absolutely, I agree. Very rarely do I like myself. Very rarely. I am my toughest critic. And I find faults with everything. I almost never revisit my work. I see it once it's done as the final thing, and then I just let it go. But after I did DC1, I thought that really pushed me out of my comfort zone. And it changed my way of working. It was a learning curve for me. And when we were going to do DC2, there was this, it was really daunting because I thought, how do I match up to that? I won't be able to, I don't know. I just did that because I'm an instinctive actor. There is a lot of study that goes in before I get on set. But once the camera goes on, I'm a very, very instinctive actor. And I was like, I don't know. There was no plan of action. She just became who she is. I said, how do I match up to this? But touch wood, I could manage. And if anything, I think she's grown.
And the pressure of Emmy, the fact that the first season had won an Emmy, did that weigh on your mind somewhere when doing this second season?
See, the thing is that we never went out to making that show because we didn't even have a platform when Delhi Crime 1 was made. We didn't know it was going to showcase at Sundance. We didn't know Netflix was going to come on board. We didn't know we were going to win the Emmy. For me, creating that project or creating the character is the high point of any project. And also, we knew that the case that one had touched everyone personally. So another case wasn't going to match up with that. But the conscious decision was to, it's not a competition between the 1 and 2. They're both my babies. I'm not going to make a choice. But the conscious thought and work, what we worked towards was that 2 has to be equally powerful and equally good in its own right, not in comparison. And I think we went out to do that, and touch would be achieved that. So that is what finally matters. If you constantly live under pressure of something, then it kind of, really, I think it just kind of takes away from where you can fly otherwise. Because then you're making a benchmark. But if you don't have that benchmark, you can fly anywhere you want.
The fact that Reggie Mehta did not direct this one and you had a new director, Tanu Chopra, how was his approach different? And if you missed Mehta's touch?
Did I what?
Miss Richie's touch. Of course, he's still the creator, but not the director this time.
Well, obviously, you work with someone, you've created a project which is very dear, and you're hoping to continue working with the person. But Rishi gave us a legacy of Delhi Crime, and Tanuj has taken it and made it his own, and so gracefully handled it and proved that, both are so good. And it's been a pleasure and honor to work with both these guys. And Tanuj is not left. Rishi is Rishi, Tanuj is Tanuj. And they're both very dear to me, and they're both, I respect them tremendously. But, they've both done such a beautiful job of it. And we, whether Rishi and me or Tanuj and me, we've collaborated on this and managed to create that magic again. That's what finally matters, and it boils down. Like I said, they're both very, very dear to me. They're very dear friends as well. And makers I respect.
Of course, the series has won many accolades, and very positive reviews. But yet, when the first series also came, and somewhat in this also, many feel that the police has been portrayed in a very, very positive light. And that has been the criticism. And generally, police in India gets a lot of flack. And that it is unnecessarily positive. Do you agree with the criticism?
I don't, well, everyone has their own opinion, and I respect that. But where do you see that the police has been put on shining glory in DC2? In fact, Vartika herself makes so many mistakes. and she corrects it. I mean, the grace of it is she knows she falters, she knows she has flaws, and then she chooses to take the right side and correct it. So it doesn't mean she didn't falter. You know, there are some cops in the system who may not work in the most righteous way. You see it in DC.
Yeah.
But that one person, I mean, you know, we're very quick to judge when one person from any field, and every field has good and bad. In life, there is good and bad. But I think we're just inclined to picking up the bad. You know, and you can't decide that one rotten apple has damaged the entire basket of apples.
But by and large, her heart is in the right place for sure.
Sorry, by and large?
Her heart is in the right place. I mean, most of the characters have their heart in the right place. It is a positive.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And this is the story of these cops. And you know, there is Chadda in the show.
Yes.
He's been a cop for a very long time, but he's not working in the most righteous manner.
Yes.
He's being prejudiced. And that is something that's not acceptable either. She's fighting the system as well. But finally, they all do the right stuff. And that's what it comes down to.
But Shefali, you almost become the gold standard in acting, to be raising the bar each time, whether it's Shamsu of Darlings, or Vatika of Delhi Crime, or you know, Rukhsana of Jalsa, which has recently won you an award at the film festival in Melbourne. So what is the secret, really?
I don't know what's the secret. I'm glad my instinct, impulse, my gut feeling of something and doing it right works. I work straight from my heart. I mean, there's a lot of brain that I use before going in front of the camera, but then it's pure heart and it's worked for me. And touch wood, thank God for it. And my competition is myself. I mean, the point is that I just have this, like I said, I'm my biggest critic. I need to prove it again and again to myself. And honestly, when I'm doing the project, it's not about that I want to go out and prove anything. I just have to become the character. That's what finally it boils down. I just have to become the character. And I take it as a compliment when people recognize me by the character rather than saying, Shefali did a good job as, I mean, I have to become invisible when you see me as a character.
But you began your career way back, you know, in 90s with Hasrate, and then you even won an award for Satya. But it's now that, you know, everyone is talking about Shefali as, you know, it seems that we have kind of rediscovered you. But how do you look at your journey? You know, everyone is going gaga over you, no doubt about it.
Well, I feel finally, thank God, there I goes that. It's been a long journey. I did not think I would be here. I decided to say no to a lot of work, but I also learned to accept it and know that I don't want to just go to work. I want to do something that becomes my calling. I want to do something that drives me to wanting to be on set. And the wait has been long. Initially, there was impatience. But then I just said, okay, this is what I want to do and I'll wait for it. And it worked for me. It worked. I mean, some years ago, forget me, if you think you talk about actresses actually arriving when they're in their late 40s,
yeah.
You'd be like, no, that can't happen. But it's happening now. And I'm so glad it is happening for me.
But to what would you owe this credit? You know, do you think OTT is the defining force here, or the writers, or the makers, or the actors like you themselves?
Well, I would give the credit to Delhi Crime. There was a director who took a chance on me. He recognized the potential and said, I want to put her in the lead. And then, of course, and it was not just another show, it became Delhi Crime. It was a fantastic show. And then you have Netflix, and it's dropping to 190 countries in one go. And everyone's waking up and saying, oh my God, why didn't we think of her like this? And now we've reached a point where there are writers writing stuff for me. There are directors who want to work with me and think of me as, leads or parallel leads. And it's great. I mean, it's fantastic. So I give the full credit to Delhi. I truly do. That changed my career, that changed my life.
And how much you played a variety of roles, grey characters. But is there a part you would, say no to without blinking?
Is there a part that I say no to without blinking? Like
Yeah.
I told you, I work from my gut and instinct. So when I read something, if it clicks to me, I'll say yes. If it doesn't click, I'll say no.
But
it's actually as simple. But I don't rubbish the character because you don't know what is going to come out of. And it's not just about what is written. You start thinking of where can I go with this? So there isn't a formula for it. There really isn't a formula that I fall back on. I just know that the script, the role has to excite me to want to do it. I mean, it has to be my calling. It has to be this thing of, oh my God, I just have to do this. And then, of course, the director, because you know where a director is going to take it. But I've worked with a lot of first-time directors. And it's worked for me.
So there are no do's and don'ts, like, some people say they will not do a character which demeans women. I mean, you are being seen as a symbol of an empowered woman. Or a character.
Because I genuinely believe that there is a lot of strength in vulnerability and fragility. I believe that. And no, why would I restrict myself like that as an actor? I wouldn't. I mean, I'm open to everything that comes my way. I'll pick what I want. But I don't have a block in my head. I don't have it.
And you portray such intense characters. Do these characters stay with you? Is there a formula? I mean, how do you come out of these characters, especially when you do?
Well, when I'm doing a project, I'm completely consumed by it, and that's the only way I know how to work. And I don't want to work in any other way. It drains me out. It takes everything out of me, and I love it. And of course, you leave a part of you, and then the character you've done takes home somewhere inside you. It cannot be quantified. You don't know when it's going to come back to you, but it leaves something back always. Now, I cannot evaluate or articulate what and how. All I know is when I do something, I have to give it everything I have, physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm drained by the time I finish the project. I'm finished, and I love it.
So, are there ways to unwind? How to come out of it?
Well, it doesn't mean that if I'm doing an intense scene, or if I'm going around screaming and shouting or raving or ranting on set for a particular scene, that I carry that back home and go ahead doing the same thing. But I come back, I shower, I have a normal conversation, but mentally and physically and emotionally, everyone knows that, okay, she's into this. So I come, shower, talk with my family, have dinner, and then dive straight back into the next day's. Straight back. I don't back. Like, people used to tell me that, listen, you also need to sleep. But I was just so driven by it that I didn't find a need to sleep, eat nothing. I'm just living, eating, breathing, drinking, just for that.
And having a full producer as a spouse, I mean, do you talk a lot of shop at home, or your family life is different from your professional life, or
of course he's a producer, and I have no inclination towards that. But he's also a director. We share common love for cinema, so we obviously discuss that. He may discuss numbers with me, but most of the time, I'm actually not interested. Unless it's his film, I'm not even interested if it's my project. Because like I said, just creating that project is the high point for me. But yes, we have a similar love for cinema. So why not? But then we have kids, and they have their own lives, and we are obviously interested and rather Like we want to know everything that's going on.
And there's somewhere. Yeah, please go on.
Yeah, sorry.
No,
I mean, we have everything else besides just cinema.
Yeah.
But it's great that we share this love for cinema together.
Somewhere you also said that, you never ask him, even if you like a part in his project, you never asked him for it. So you never used your wife's advantage ever with him in that sense.
I don't think we both do. We both don't do it. Because we respect each other way too much. I know that if there is a part for me, which Vipul thinks is worth me, he will come to me. And he will not come to me if he doesn't think I deserve it. And vice versa. I would never ask Vipul to make something. Why would I? I mean, what he does and what I do contributes to our family. So why would we want to mix? I mean, I can't explain it. Maybe I can't explain it right. But right. Our projects are very precious to us. So this thing of, mere liye kar lo, arey aise thodi na hota hai. And either way, I'm saying, he wouldn't ask me and I wouldn't ask. Unless we think it's worth us coming together professionally.
And most recently, your relationship advice has also gone viral. So what would you, tell young girls caught up in, relationships?
Honestly, every relationship is different. There is no instruction manual that comes with it. I think the bottom line is you treat people the way you expect to be treated. And if your relationship follows that path, I think you're on a safe journey together. It's very, very important. And anyone, whether it's a girl or a guy, neither should make the other feel low about themselves. It's just not fair. So the advice I gave wasn't only for women. And it's not an advice because, like I said, there is no instruction manual. What works for me may not work for somebody else.
And talking of a lot of talk is going on about pay parity for both genders. Do you think OTT will help break that ceiling, that glass ceiling?
I don't even think it's about gender, Monica.
It's not.
I mean, Vidya and me have done a film together. Arya and me have done a film together. Obviously, we're not going to get paid the same money. They're stars. They've established themselves as stars. They've gotten numbers at the box office. So I think this whole gender thing now, I think is being blown out. Like I get asked this question a lot, not just in reference to pay patterns, pay differences, but also in reference to do you think women filmmakers are more sensitive? But I've worked with so many men filmmakers who are extremely sensitive. So it has nothing to do with gender, really. I mean, I'm giving you a perfect example. I've done films right now with two top actresses of our country. And we don't get paid the same money, and obviously we don't get paid the same money.
But do you think OTT is a greater boon for women actors?
I think OTT is a great boon for all actors and all people involved creatively in filmmaking, as well as producers, directors, writers, music composers, costume stylists, you name it. Because I believe OTT is about explore, experiment, and express without holding back. It's given so many jobs to so many people to actually come on their own, and express themselves freely. Also the reach. Look at the reach. I mean, when Delhi Crime dropped in 190 countries in one go. Where are you going to get that kind of reach? So I think it's not great for actresses. I think it's great for everyone.
And Delhi Crime is going to be a permanent franchise. We'll see many more seasons to come.
Well, I really hope so. There are people from Netflix over here. I think we should ask that question to them. And if you get it, please let me know.
I mean, going by the success of it, I'm sure there will be many more seasons.
Well, I touch wood and I really hope so. Fingers crossed.
And now that you are headlining so many projects, will you say no to a smaller part?
See, I give this classic example of monsoon wedding. It's an ensemble cast, but every character is very important. And in their own space is a hero or is a lead of that moment in that film. The same goes for OT. Delhi Crime, yes, Kartika may be headlining it, but every character, no matter how short or long their parts, and I say short or long, not small or big, they are important and they are their own leads in that moment of that show. You get that space on OTT, you may not get that space in cinema. So unless you're giving me something that I really want to do and I want to chew on, I'm not going to do it. Finally, I'm doing leads and parallel leads. But when you see darlings, you see a jalsa. I mean, yes, there are two women headlining it, but every character is so important. You go back with all the characters, and that is really important for me. I won't do something where I don't feel valued. I don't feel, I don't feel like, oh my God, I have to do this or it will be end all for me. And I feel like that about the projects I choose. And they work for me, that's good.
I believe you're a trained Bharatanatyam dancer.
Sorry?
I said, I believe you're a trained Bharatanatyam dancer.
Yes, I trained when I was a kid, but I haven't danced forever.
So my question was whether we will get to see that aspect of yours in a future project, your dancing talent.
I would love to do it. I would absolutely love to do it.
And what can we expect from Shefali in future?
Oh, well, so I've done a really small part in this film called Dr. G. It was a commitment I made a couple of years ago. And probably in today's time, I would not have picked it. But I thought it was right at that point in time. It's a very sensitive and funny script. And I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to be a part of that ensemble. So that is, yes, it's a really small bit. And I did this beautiful film with Avinash Aru, but 3 of us. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to do the festival circuit first and then it will get released whenever, wherever. Besides that, I'm reading a couple of things right now and I'm hoping I have a busy year next year.
How do you process success?
I take my work very seriously. I don't take myself so seriously. Let's put it that way. Also, I move on very fast. I really move on fast. So I love it. I'm glad that the show did so well. And I'm just soaking in all the love and respect. But that doesn't mean I don't do myself again and again and again. And I can't wait to dive back into another script, another character. I want to get back on set.
And people love your eyes. Everyone thinks that, they're a pool of expression. Are you aware of this advantage?
I mean, I've heard that a lot. And, well, I should thank my genetics for my eyes. But what I feel shows in my eyes. I'm very transparent that way. So what I feel shows in my eyes. And I also feel that you have the privilege of a camera which captures the smallest of nuance. So if you can say something in 4 words, don't use 6. If you can say something in 2 words, don't use 4. If you can say something without using any words, don't use any words.
All right, Shefali, pleasure to have talked to you. As much as it is a pleasure to watch you on screen, and all the best for your future. Looking forward to many projects. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.